Have you ever noticed that right before you manifest something big, life seems to get harder? The opportunities seem to stall, money dries up, old fears start to creep back in, chaos ensues, and you start to wonder if the universe is actually going against you. But what if it's actually the opposite? What if these challenges that you begin facing, or maybe that you start noticing when you're really going for something big, are actually proof that your breakthrough is actually right around the corner? In today's episode, I am sharing 5 different ways the universe tests you before a big breakthrough and how to pass those tests with grace so that you can finally step into the next level of wealth, freedom, and alignment that you have been asking for. Let's dive in. Welcome to All In with Allie, the podcast for online business owners and entrepreneurs who are ready to create the life and business of their dreams. I am so happy you are here. So I personally go back and forth and wrestle with this idea around God testing us. That's tough for me because I do believe there are, quote, tests. I think that's how we perceive them. But I think it's really easy to take these tests almost as like a pass-fail type situation, or like we're being punished, or we need to prove ourselves in order to have what it is that we want. And while there is a level of proving, I don't think it's in the way that a lot of people will project on to God. I feel like sometimes when I hear people talking about this, it almost sounds like God's, this patriarchal figure, this father figure up in the sky that's like, are you worthy of this thing that you want? Prove it. Let me throw this test and it's going to be really hard and I'm going to try and trick you. And obviously that's not how this works. But I do believe that there are tests. Again, that's how we perceive them. But it's not to prove our worthiness. It's not to pass or fail. It's simply to demonstrate that we're ready, to demonstrate that we can hold whatever it is that we are creating and we're not going to drop it. It's not going to break us. It's not going to set us back. And there are times, depending on what it is that we want, where it's like, well, why would a healthy relationship break me? Why would $1 billion in my bank account break me? $1 billion, that's probably easier to understand. Like, we can see how that could, when it gets in the wrong hands. When you see this with lottery winners, like actually right now, as I record this, the Powerball is, I think, $1.6 billion because nobody won last night. So I will be playing that again. But you see this a lot with lottery winners because they're not prepared for that level of wealth in their life, for that level of responsibility. There's a level of responsibility that comes with every gift and every next level. And if you aren't prepared, if your container, if your vessel is not prepared to hold it, you will break, you will drop it. There's a lot of things that can happen. So I wanted to start off this episode with a few reasons on why I think God or the universe, quote, tests us so that we can put it a bit more in perspective, so that we can look at this through the lens of appreciation and not through the lens of bitterness. Because I have felt bitter toward God before. Like, let me act perfect. Let me, perform so I can prove myself so I can finally have this thing that I want. And that's not it, obviously. But, we have our moments, and I have certainly had my own. So let's talk about different reasons why I think the universe tests us. There's a few. How many do I have here? I have 5 things here, and we'll go through these quickly, and then we'll get into the different tests that you will see so that you can see them coming, pass them with flying colors, and receive what it is or something better that you want. Okay. So why the universe tests us? First, I believe the universe tests us to gauge our energetic alignment. You get what you are, you attract what you are, you attract with your frequency, with your energy. Now, our energy is always shifting, right? It's always going in and out. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but for me, that certainly feels accurate. There are some days where I feel like my energy is on one level, and there's other days where it feels like it's 10 notches lower or higher, depending on the day. So the universe matches your energy, not your words. So you can say all day long, all of the affirmations, you can journal all of the beautiful words, you can speak into existence what it is that you want. And it's not that that isn't helpful and isn't powerful. Like I did a whole podcast on the power of declaration, and I will make a note. You'll like that one. I did a whole episode on that because I really believe in the power of declaration, but it's your frequency that has to be a match for what it is that you want. And it has to be sustained. You can't, and this is actually really good news for us because I want you to imagine, I mean, an example that like the first example that comes to mind are for my friends out there who watch and binge these true crime podcasts and these true crime shows. And I watch them on occasion too. They are so entertaining, feels like the wrong word to use right here. They're interesting. They're captivating. When it's a rainy Sunday and you got nothing to do, they're cool to put on. But when you stay immersed in that energy, that freaks me out for you. But if you watch a negative show and you get freaked out a little bit and you dip a little bit into that dark energy, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're going to manifest that experience in your life. Thank God. It's when you are immersed in it and that becomes your dominant energy that we need to pay attention. Okay. And if you're wanting to attract something in your life and you're wanting to hit a certain number of revenue or attract a certain client or attract a certain relationship or a certain level of wealth and freedom, whatever it is, health, whatever it is that you want, that needs to be the dominant frequency. That is what you are ultimately going to attract into your life. So the universe is going to test you to gauge your energetic alignment. So for example, let's say you want wealth. We all are business owners here. We of course want to attract in levels of revenue and higher levels of revenue at that. So how this will test you is it's going to see, when the bills maybe are late or extra bills come through, or maybe a client offers you less than what you're worth or less than what you want to charge. What vibration do you hold in that moment? Because it's very easy to hold a higher vibration or the vibration of that which you want when things are good, when things are easy, but life is full of duality. There are going to be unexpected bills. There are going to be situations where a client isn't going to get it. Who shows up to those conversations? Is it the version of you who understands her self-worth when it comes to wealth? Or is it the version of you who dips back into scarcity? All right. So one way or one reason why the universe will test us is to gauge and to double check on that energetic alignment. Another reason why the universe will test us is to strengthen our ability to hold that more. All right. So what you want it because there's something in you that doesn't have it yet, whatever the thing is. So you're calling in more into your life or something different into your life. So you have to be, I've seen some posts that I like a lot. There's a quote that's like, God, not only support me in attracting in what it is I want, but give me the wisdom on how to keep it, on how to maintain it, on how to hold it. And that's a really powerful prayer because, like the example of lottery winners, they get all this money, more money than you think anybody would know what to do with, more money than you think anybody could possibly lose in a lifetime. And yet they lose it at record warp speed because they cannot hold it. Their frequency is simply not practiced and not comfortable with that level of money and wealth. Therefore, they give it all away, or they gamble it, or they commit tax fraud and end up having to go to jail, or whatever the situation is. At the end of the day, they end up losing it all anyway. Same thing in relationships. And I'll give y'all an example here in just a minute of how I was tested in my relationship to see if I could hold this level of love and respect for him and for myself. So this is with everything. So this is to strengthen. This is to build your resilience, your patience, and your trust so that you can sustain that success when it arrives. You're not just going to freak out and blow it all up because you're not comfortable and your worthiness isn't a match for what comes through for you. Another reason why the universe will test us is to clear out what's not aligned. And you see this happen a lot, right? When some people up level, maybe they get that new job or they finally hit that desired level of success in their business, or a level of fame or a level of popularity or whatever, there are going to be people that they attract that are new, that are attracted because of the person that they're becoming. But then there are people who end up becoming repelled. And these people could be people that they don't even really notice, like maybe followers on Instagram. But then sometimes, in some cases, these are friends, people that were in their life, their whole lives, or a lot of their lives. But as soon as they increase their frequency or shifted to a different frequency, the relationships couldn't last anymore, right? There's that, think of like a magnet. It's like all of a sudden they're repelling each other. That happens a lot. This can happen with relationships, but then this can also happen with opportunities. This can happen with clients. This can happen with physical things as well. I know for me, when I'm going for something big in my business or something big in my life, almost every single time I get this overwhelming urge to purge my home. Almost like if you've been pregnant and you've experienced the nesting urge, which is so interesting how it just like comes all of a sudden and literally you cannot help yourself but to organize every single nook and cranny in your home. I will get this out of nowhere. And almost every single time, it's when I'm going for something big or I feel like I'm on the edge of some sort of breakthrough. And I think there is some sort of message of, it's time to literally clear space, physical space, but then also mental space and also emotional space as well. But sometimes the test does look like loss and rejection, or sometimes things falling apart. And it's not punishment, which I used to look at it as. It's like pruning, right? So like anybody who's had a garden before or flowers, they know that in order to hit that next level of growth for the plant, you have to cut the dead away. And sometimes we get overly emotional about this when it comes to people in our lives. And sometimes that's absolutely warranted. There are going to be times where people that you love and deeply care for reject you, or you just aren't a match anymore. And that is something to care about, and that should matter to you. But in my experience, a lot of these times, it's really easy to see what's going on, especially with this context. And it's like, okay, I don't want to lose you as a friend. I don't want to lose you as a relationship. In some cases, sometimes you do. And sometimes it's like, okay, good riddance. But in the times that you don't, it's like, okay, but if you're not willing to accept me at this level or this phase that I'm at, well, then what are we going to do? And it's a bittersweet acceptance, but it is like a pruning type situation, cutting that dead away so that the new can grow. There's got to be space made for the new. So the universe will clear misaligned people, misaligned opportunities, beliefs, thought patterns, so that you can literally make space for what it is that you are calling in. Another reason why the universe will very kindly test us is to upgrade our identity to be a match for what it is that we want. You have to feel worthy. You have to feel a match, or you have to begin the process of getting there. Not to say that it can't come in anyway, but if you want to hold it, and I'm going to keep using the lottery winners. A lot of times they miss it because they cannot, their identity often is so rooted in lack and being broke that even when they have millions and millions of dollars at their fingertips, their identity is still rooted in lack and scarcity. And then they end up, pissing it all away. So your identity needs to be upgraded. And every breakthrough that you have or that you want to have will require a new version of you. Sometimes these versions are more drastic. Sometimes they're a bit more subtle that you don't even notice, but it does require a new version of you. So these tests, the ones that are meant to support your identity, are going to put you in these positions where you have to choose your higher new version of self versus your old patterns and your old level of self. The one who maybe would choose more patterns of fear and scarcity and settling and procrastinations. So it's essentially asking, will you, I'm going to put you in this situation. You're not going to be prepared for, maybe you will be prepared for it, but you're not going to be expecting it. Who are you going to show up as in this situation? I'm going to throw a curveball at you. Who's going to show up to the party? Is it the version of you who's ready for what it is that you want to call in? Or is it the fear version of you, the scarcity version of you? And then that will dictate how that goes. And then finally, another reason why I personally believe the universe will test us is to prove our readiness once and for all. Sometimes you think you're ready for the breakthrough, for the next thing that it is that you want, and you're absolutely full of shit. Sorry. And I've been there. We've all been there. I've been here majorly in relationships, and I'll give you that example in just a second. But this is like, everything is kind of training for the moment that you are ready. It's all just practice. So in 2 days, I'm headed to Alabama to speak at the Mindset and Momentum Retreat hosted by my friend Lauren Miles. And I have been practicing my speech for this retreat. But if you were to put me on the stage right now, I wouldn't be ready. So everything leading up to that moment is supporting me. It's like training ground for that moment. So the test is not to block us. It's simply confirmation that we're really close, right? It's like the final nudge to prove that you can handle what's coming. Like, are you really ready for this? Are you really ready to hold this? Are you ready to hold this new level version identity of you? Or are we just practicing? Are we still like on the practice field right now? You know? And sometimes, or actually all the time, anytime you're not ready, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with failing tests because there's always, as long as you're breathing, you're always going to have another opportunity to prove your readiness. So, long story short, the universe does not test us to punish. It tests to prepare, to align, and to expand you so that when your breakthrough does arrive, or first and foremost, to get you at the frequency to attract the breakthrough. And then when it does arrive, it doesn't break you. You can hold it, you can sustain it, and move on to the next thing that you're ready to call in. Because life is all about growth and expansion, in my humble opinion. Okay. So let me tell you the story about how I believe I was majorly tested in every single way that I just gave you. Every single thing, every single reason why the universe tests us, I was tested, I think. And it was very clear in hindsight. I was tested when I met Chris Reeves, my husband. Okay. So, and I've told this story before, but it's just such a fantastic example of how this works and how luckily I passed the test and I have the love of my life and I'm married to him and we have a beautiful life together. Okay. So prior to meeting Chris, I was living in Knoxville, Tennessee. I was having a ball. I put myself through college. I was bartending to put myself through college. I had these roommates that I love that I'm still very close with to this day. And we were having a ball. We really it was such a sweet, fun time in my life. And I also was in this on, off, hot, cold relationship for way too long. I mean, literally, I really believe, we were in each other's lives for a reason, for both of us to grow and to learn. But those lessons could have been learned within the first 6 months of us knowing each other. Like truly after the first 6 months, we easily could have and should have parted ways and just said, hey, fun lessons. Nice knowing you. Thank you for showing me what it is that I want and what I don't want. Have a good day. But we didn't do that. We both messed with each other and just did each other wrong. Me especially. I was done very wrong. But I didn't let go, right? Like I didn't have the level of self-worth and self-love to walk away for good. Now, during this season, this was a period of several years. All I wanted was a healthy relationship. I felt like I kind of had everything else at the time. I mean, I was young, but everything else in my life was like, I had good friends. I was nowhere near to having any kind of career, but like I was making okay money for that time and I was having fun and health and all the things. But like the one area in my life that sucked balls was my relationship. And I'm such a lover girl. I'm such a loyal person. I'm a relationship person. And that was a huge void in my life because I loved this person who didn't love me back, essentially. And it was awful. It was, a really, really hard period of my life. And I would pray all the time. Like I just wanted to find my match. That's all I wanted. And God would deliver to me. So in our off seasons, right, I would date and I would try and like rebound and I would try and find that match so I could move on with my life. God forbid a girl be single. Okay. But didn't do that. But I would try and I would go on dates and God would send me the most amazing men, like truly some of the best men like really high quality guys I would go on dates with, I would be friends with, that would pursue me, that liked me a lot, that were so kind, that probably would have treated me like gold. And every single time that I would go on a couple of dates and I would like them a lot, the ex would, come back in the picture because they can sniff when you're moving on. We all know that. And I would go right back, right? Like I would be quote dating somebody else, like lightly dating somebody else, and I would be seeing my ex behind the scenes, and it was toxic and it was weird and gross. Anyway, so I'd be playing that game. And then, I would lose interest in the guy. And then, next thing you know, another 6 months have gone by and I'm still doing this hot and cold, toxic, gross situation. So I did this for years. And I would go and I would see psychics and I would pray and I would manifest and I would just be like, why can't I just find a guy who loves me? What is the deal? And, God forbid I look in the mirror and see, hello, the problem is me. But one thing did happen. Okay. This was the summer before I met Chris. So I met Chris in the fall of 2000. What was it? 13? Yeah. Fall of 2013. This was the summer before. So I had not met him yet. Did not know him at all. And I came across this article that was like, write a letter as if you had met the love of your life. If you want to attract in this man, write a letter to yourself as if you had met him and like get really specific with the details and how he makes you feel and etc. So I did this practice and I wrote this letter and I got super detailed and it made me emotional and I was like, oh, where is he? And I got like details of like, he's tall and he's tall, dark and handsome. And, and I just like went all in. And I can't find this letter, unfortunately. I would do anything to have it, but I did it. And then that fall, I met Chris Reeves. Okay. Now, when I met Chris, it was long distance. He was 2.5 hours away from me. So we would do like long distance. We talked for a while. And then he came like 2 months later after we'd been talking back and forth, and he took me on my first date. So this was December 2013. Took me on my first date with him. And at this time, I was still going back and forth with the ex. But I go on this date. And the date wasn't even that great. Like we were both nervous, and I've talked about this a lot. Anyway, it was enough. I just had this feeling. I was like, I think something could be here. And I liked him a lot because we had talked so much up until this point. And I was like, there's potential here. I don't know. And something in me was like, you got to cut it off. You got to cut off the ex. Like if you're serious about this and you want to give this a true shot, you got to cut the hell off the ex, which I had like done in periods before, but never for good, like for real, right? And I did. So after that first date, I want to say it was like the day after, 2 days after. I remember I was at work and I blocked on everything. And I was just like, okay, we'll see where this goes. I've got to give it a fair shot. All right. So this is me. I'm proving my readiness, right? I'm up leveling my identity. I believe enough in my worthiness, in my own self-love to give this thing a shot. Even though I don't know for sure if it's going to work out, right? We don't know. I'm willing to roll the dice, to bet it all, to block, delete, because I know that what I was doing before was not it. I knew that that was not a match for what I wanted and what I deserved. So I let it go, dropped it. All right. Continued dating Chris. And here we are. All right. So it was a good bet. But right after I blocked and deleted and did the whole thing, When I tell you it was the full court press, when I tell you I was tested in every way imaginable, do you mean it? Are you sure? Wait, let's try this. Wait, let's drop this in this situation. Wait, let's try that. This man, the ex, showed up in every situation you can imagine. My new apartment, at work, blocked, like called from different numbers, like changed his number multiple times, called from different numbers, everything that I would have killed for him to do prior to this moment. All of a sudden it was like, he saw the light and he could for months could not let it go, to the point Chris had to have they had to get on the phone and have a conversation with each other. Like it got intense. And in every single way, I was tested. I was tested in my energetic alignment. Is this like, which one are you aligned to? This or this, right? I was tested in my ability to hold this new level of relationship, this new level of respect, this new level of loyalty that I said that I wanted. Am I willing to be shady? I could have been shady. I could have done in that situation what I did with every man prior to that. And, kind of play both fields for a little bit until I was positive. So I was tested in my ability to hold the level of relationship that I wanted. I was clearly clearing out what was not aligned, my identity, that self-love, the readiness, all of it. And I believe I was tested in this way for a few reasons. One, am I an energetic match for Chris Reeves and that level of relationship that I said that I wanted? But two, Chris is also on his own journey, right? He also was ready for that level of relationship. So in a way, I needed to be an energetic match for him and vice versa. We had to be an energetic match for each other. And I believe God knew Chris was an amazing man for me. God knew this man has everything that you want. Everything you wrote in that letter, this is a match for what it is that you say that you want. But I am not going to let him stay in your life if you are going to let him go, if you're going to hurt him. If I send him fully into your world, are you ready, or are you going to burn this man? Are you going to ruin this man and ruin, this be another situation? And I truly, truly believe, and I'm sure, Chris was tested on his end too, but I really believe the reason why we are together today and married now for 9 years and 4 days, it will be 9 years that we have been married. We've been together for 11 years now. And I believe the reason why is because I initially passed those tests. Okay. So I just want to give you that story. That's just one of many, many examples that you can look back and see so clearly in hindsight how this works. So I want you to think, because you can apply that, the basic concepts of that to any situation, especially in business. And even as I was telling that story, right? This moment, like, think about it. The moment that I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. This is what I'm calling in. I'm calling in this level of relationship. I'm ready. The moment I knew that, what did I do? Blocked, deleted, cleared out, made space of all the old stuff. Do you do this in your business? I don't. There are times where I do this and I've done this, but other times I'll be like, yeah, I'm ready for this level of revenue. I'm ready for this level of client. I'm ready for this level of success, but I'm still going to kind of hold on over here. I'm still going to keep these clients over here. I'm still going to let this person pay me this. I'm still going to do this thing that I don't want to do anymore because I'm afraid that if I don't do it, then da 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 da. Right? Do you see the difference there? You can apply this template essentially to all situations. It's not perfect, but it's close. Okay. So 5 times the universe tests you right before a big breakthrough. Let's get into it. The first way the universe tests you right before a big breakthrough is to test your patience. So when you are creating something, maybe you're in a launch, or maybe a client, like a really, really big client or a really big deal is, about to come through, but things start feeling delayed, or something happens and it feels like things have kind of stuck or stagnant, or things start moving at a snail's pace. In these moments, what do? Are you tempted to quit? Are you tempted to lower your standards or force an outcome? I'll do that. That's the big one for me. I'm going to, instead of trusting in divine timing and trusting that the universe has my back, and if this was meant to happen right now, it would freaking happen. Hello. I'm going to force it. I'm going to snake my way in and, do whatever I need to do. I'll do that a lot. I'll get hardcore in the masculine and F shit up. So the universe will test our patience to test, can you trust divine timing? Do you trust me? Do you trust God? Because at the end of the day, we have such a limited perspective. I know, we know ourselves best. We think we know what we want. And we think we know the timeline of when it makes the most sense for that thing to come through. But God has the aerial view on the situation. God can see the things that we can't see. So when things feel like they're slowing down a little bit, or it was moving and then it stopped, and you're like, what the frick? I'm ready for this thing like yesterday. What's going on? Hold, please. You only know this. You know a fraction of the situation. God knows the whole situation and then some. Can you trust? Can you trust, or are you going to try and manipulate? Or are you going to lower your standards and settle for less? Right? So going back to the relationship situation, like I said, our first date wasn't even that good. We had fun, but we were both so nervous. Our second date was objectively bad. Objectively bad. I cried at the end of our second date, bawled my eyes out because I thought I ruined it. I was just so nervous and I was awkward, and I'm not going to get into it, but I was like, and it was so awkward when we left after the second date. And I was like, he's not going to give me another chance. I totally just ruined that situation. Thank God we decided to give it one more shot. Let's go for a third date, right? And then the rest is history. But in those moments, I could have perceived it as, well, he matches everything on paper. I said, I'm ready for this. Here he is. Why aren't we vibing? Why isn't this working? I need to be in love with him. I need to be obsessed with him now. I need to be feeling the fireworks now. I could have done what I had done in the past and gotten impatient and said, screw it, and call the ex. Or just not go on a second or third date. Be like, well, I didn't feel the fireworks the first time. Ladies, listen, give it a couple shots. If the potential is there, if the foundation is good, if the foundation is there and in the first date or two isn't fireworks, give it one more shot. Trust me. But I could have totally lacked patience and thrown it all away. I could have lowered my standards because it wasn't happening on my timeline. Thank you, God, for having the patience to Hang in there and give it a fair shot. Okay, so that's one way. The second way the universe will test us right before a big breakthrough is by testing our level of detachment. So detachment is, I might want this thing, but I know I'll be okay without it. I'm whole without it. It doesn't mean we don't want it, but if we don't get it in the time that we think, or in the exact way that we think, or, whatever the situation is, we're not feeling lack without it. We're not feeling lackful. We're not lowering our identity without it. So when you are on the verge of a breakthrough, opportunities, people, money suddenly might fall away. Okay. So like when you are, I cannot tell you how many times this has happened. When I am in a big launch season and I'm calling in big money, all of a sudden the, certain bills like surprise taxes, surprise medical bills, different things start happening. And it feels in the moment like a loss. But remember, we're clearing energy. We're clearing away the old. So not only is this testing your level of detachment, but also we're clearing space. And also, where are those standards when that begins to happen? What are you a match for? So the lesson here when it comes to detachment is, can you hold the frequency of abundance? You say, or whatever the thing is, whatever it is that you want, can you hold that frequency even when it looks like lack? Are you okay without it? And you hear all the sages and all the gurus say this. Like the second you stop giving a damn about this thing, the second you are content without it, boom, it shows up because you've mastered this test. And this one for me is tough because when I want something, I'm so ready for it. And it's hard, like being like, I'm okay without it almost feels like giving up. But I've learned that you can be both, right? You can have both. You can, like my old coach Melanie used to say, like, 1 foot in desire, 1 foot in gratitude, right? Like you can be so excited and expectant for what's coming while also being so grateful for where you are. Like that's a beautiful way to master detachment. When I attracted Chris, it was such an interesting season in my life because while I was still like low key going back and forth with my ex, I had detached majorly from that particular situation and really from relationships in general. I still wanted one, but I was in this really beautiful season of life where I was getting my own apartment for the first time. I always had roommates. I was getting my first apartment. I was going to be living downtown. I had amazing girlfriends in my life. I was hitting this level of dependence and I was really focused. Like I just finished up school. By the way, I finished college late. So that's why if you're trying to do the math, no, I'm not 28, but I finished school late and I just, got that squared away. And I was really starting to focus on my career and what I wanted to do. And I was thinking about moving to Nashville, and there were all these things that I began focusing more of my energy on. And I kind of just let go the relationship conversations. I wanted it, but I wasn't hyper focused on it anymore. And then boom, Chris Reeves happens. So there's another example. Okay. Third way that the universe can and sometimes will test you right before a big breakthrough is to test your self-worth, as we have discussed. If you get triggered or you start to feel undervalued, or let's say you're offered less than you deserve, These are opportunities, right? These are tests for you to hold the freaking line, for you to say, no, I'm not going to settle for just enough or for less than just because it feels safe. No, I'm not going to go back to that ex just because now he wants me to, and now he wants me. I know I deserve better. No, I'm not going to take on that client who wants to pay me right now because I know that they're misaligned. No, I'm not going to launch that thing out of scarcity because I need to make money, because I trust that more aligned money will come through in other ways. These are your opportunities to bypass that temptation to settle or to revert back to the lower level identity. And the lesson here is, will you choose your worth and say no to misalignment, even when it's uncomfortable? It's, any idiot, I love to say this, any idiot can do the right thing when things are easy. Any idiot can hold the line and act, self-worth, with a high level of integrity or a high level of self-worthiness, or can act in accordance with abundance when they have money in the bank, or when things are good, or where things are working out in their favor. Who are you when nobody's watching? Who are you when money is being cleared out, or the old is being cleared out? Who are you right before that breakthrough, when we don't know the breakthrough is coming, right? The dark before the light. Who are you in that lowest point? That will dictate what comes next. That will dictate if the breakthrough is actually going to break through. That higher level identity is ultimately what will finally attract that in for real. The fourth way the universe will test you before a breakthrough is by testing your fear, the test of fear. Okay. So when it comes to life, when it comes to leading a big life, especially those of us who are business owners, those of us who are highly ambitious, which I feel like is all of my beautiful listeners, we are a rare breed of women. We are insanely ambitious. We have to be comfortable walking alongside fear. Have to. It has to become normalized. It's not going anywhere. There's never going to be a moment in your life you do not feel fear. The fear never goes away. But how you choose to handle it and hold it and walk with it versus trying to bypass or numb out or run away from it will dictate what happens next. That does get to change how you perceive fear and how you handle fear. So the universe is going to test us on this because the fear doesn't disappear. So if every time you get scared, you clam up and you revert back to your old ways, well, then you're never going to grow. It's just going to be this never ending cycle of, you grow a little bit, you get scared, you revert back. You grow a little bit, you get scared, you revert back. You grow a little bit, you get scared, you revert back. Versus you grow a little bit, you get scared, you hold the fear, you keep moving. And then now, next thing you know, it's kind of an upward spiral. So we have to be tested with these opportunities, right? When old doubts and insecurities start rearing their ugly head, these are the tests. I know you're scared of everything falling apart. I know you're scared of everybody thinking you're crazy. I know you're scared of losing it all. I know you're scared of holding this new energy and being a match for this new thing. And this being your reality, abundance being your reality instead of lack, because you've been addicted to lack. I know you're scared. And how do you choose to move anyway? Is your faith bigger than the fear? Because if it's not, again, you're going to grow a little bit, feel fear, revert back. You're not going to go anywhere. The fear will never go away. Just how you handle it gets to evolve. And then finally, The fifth way that I believe the universe tests us right before a big breakthrough is the test of resilience. The test of how do you handle the chaos right before that breakthrough? And a lot of people will experience this. A lot of people, when you claim that next big thing, when you really mean it, I'm ready for this. It's time. And then all of a sudden it's like, why is everything falling apart? Why is the tech breaking down all the time? Why are there unexpected bills? Where is this coming from? Why am I so emotional? Like, I swear to God, when I recommitted to this podcast, recommitted to my goals with this podcast, and I redecided, okay, I've always loved this podcast. I had no intention of ever quitting it. But there was a time where I was just kind of doing it because it was part of my job. I wasn't really doing it to get anywhere. So when I finally reconnected with, no, I not only want to continue doing it, but I want to be one of the best at it. I want to be the number one business podcast in the world. When I recommitted to this, it was as if there is a tech god, okay? If there is a technology god, it is like that god, its hobby all day, every day was to smite me. Is that a word? Is smiting a word? Smite? To strike sharply or heavily, especially with the hand or an implement held in the hand. Okay, so smite with like a lightning. Or to kill or severely injure by smiting. That's what it felt like. It felt like a technology god hated my guts and was smiting me every day. Kate and Philip, my podcast team, they can attest to this because there was one point we got on the phone again to deal with something, and they were like, none of our other clients have this issue. And I was like, okay, I'm not an idiot. What's the deal? And we could not figure it out. It was so annoying. But I believe that these were opportunities, right? This was like, okay, yeah, again, any idiot can say that they're ready to be one of the best and, to be the number one, whatever, when things are good. What about when we throw a couple wrenches in things? Are you still willing to hold that energy? Are you still willing to show up? Are you still willing to record? Or are you only willing to record and give value when it's working out for you and when it's easy? Okay. So yeah, in this moment, it just feels like the universe is going against you. It feels like what the hell? Like, why? Why can't this just be easy? And sometimes it is. Sometimes you are at a level and you are moving in such alignment where the tests either happen so fast and you pass them so quickly, you don't even notice, or you're already at the frequency and you shift so fast that many tests aren't even really required. This will happen too. So it's not that every time we're going for a breakthrough, we need to be smited to death by the tech gods and the love gods and the money gods. But sometimes, depending on how big the leap is that we're trying to collapse here, it is required. So the lesson with the test of resilience is, can you stay grounded and hold your vision in spite of duality and seemingly chaotic experiences? What do you do? Again, how do you show up in this moment when nobody's watching, when everyone's watching, when nothing's going your way, when you're being smited to death? Who shows up to the party? Who shows up? The woman who believes and moves through it anyway? Or the woman who gets frustrated, reverts into victim mode, and says, screw it, I'm not doing this. I'm not made for this. I'm not equipped for this. And then goes backwards. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. And I want to smite her, but it's part of it. And then you get the opportunity for the test again. All right. So these tests, albeit frustrating, albeit annoying as hell, if we can reframe and begin to look at them as what they are, training ground, opportunities, These are opportunities to prove that you are who you say that you are. That's it. That's it. And when you can look at them like that, it takes the sting out a bit. It takes that frustration out a smidge. It makes it feel less personal and less like an attack and more like a loving God who has our back, who wants us to win, who wants so badly to gift us the thing, right? Like I want so badly one day my sons to be able to have a car. I want so badly to be able to gift my sons their first vehicle. I so look forward to that day. But do you think I'm going to give that to them now at the sweet little age of 3 and 7? Absolutely not. That's actually a great, and I've used that analogy before, right? Like God giving you the really big breakthrough that you want right now might be like you giving your little children access to a full ass vehicle right now. It's not that they're not worthy of the vehicle. It's not that one day they're not absolutely, of course, going to get the vehicle. It's not that they're not good enough for the vehicle. It's that if they were given the vehicle right now, we'd all die, right? It would not be good. It'd not be good. It's the same thing. So in the same way, when my boys are, 16, I'm not just going to pass over keys to the Porsche. We're going to do some testing. I'm going to test their resilience. I'm going to test their patience. I'm going to test their fear. I'm going to test all of it to make sure, again, it's not a worthiness thing. It's not that I don't love them. It's actually because I love them so much. And if I didn't love them, I'd give them the keys right now and be like, whatever. Oh, you want to drive? Okay, here you go. That would be the opposite of love. So the next time you feel like you're not getting what it is that you want at the rate at which you want it, and you start to get salty at God and the universe, I want you to remember that. Okay, maybe this is divine protection. And that would actually be an incredible question to ask yourself. If I don't have it yet, there's a reason why, right? Otherwise I would have it. If I was a match for this, if I could hold this, I would have it. So if there were reasons why the universe was withholding this breakthrough from me to keep me safe, why might that be? Now we're asking a different question that is going to lead you to something, probably a breakthrough. Like I can think of some things that I want really bad, right? Like I would love a #1 business podcast in the world. Why might God be withholding that from me right now? Can I hold that level of visibility? Can I hold that level of judgment? What will my ego do when I get that? Am I prepared for that to be able to hold that new level of my identity? Now we're looking at things a little bit differently. Okay. So I know I did not meet Chris Reeves in 2012 because I would have ruined Chris Reeves in 2012. I would have ruined my chances with him, which is why I met him when I was ready to, when I was prepared to, because there were probably several tests that I don't even remember and recall, which is why I met him and was able to keep him in 2013. So when you get these signs, they're not signs to stop. Or when you get these tests, they're not signs to stop. They are proof, actually, that your breakthrough is right around the corner, dependent on how you handle the test. Do you pass or not? Okay. If this hits home with you, if this was helpful, I think something that would be really lovely would be to share it with a friend who is going through a hard season right now. Maybe you know somebody in your life who is being smited. They're going through a hard season and they haven't quite tapped into that next level breakthrough yet. And maybe they're not looking at the situation from an elevated perspective. I think it would be really, really kind if you shared this episode with them so that they can have some perspective and do some reframing and reframe these tests and smites as signs that they are probably closer to their breakthrough than they realize. Also, for those of you who like to journal, I have a prompt for you. First, I really love the random prompt that we just came up with. If God is protecting you from what it is that you want right now, what might be those reasons? There are going to be some things that come up for you. These are things to work on and really think about. And then also another prompt, where in your life are you currently being tested? Where are you being smited? Where are the frustrations? Where do you feel like, oh, I keep getting this same thing that keeps happening? Why does this same type of client keep happening? Why does this same situation, but in different ways, keep happening? These are tests. These are opportunities. You're going to get them again and again and again until you pass. So the prompt is, where in your life are you currently being tested, and how could you respond differently to show the universe that you are ready? Okay. So the next time life feels chaotic, heavy, or like it is testing every ounce of your patience, remember, it's not punishment. It is preparation. The universe is simply clearing and strengthening and aligning you for exactly what you asked for. Exactly. So reframe that, take a deep breath, and then handle those challenges and tests like the boss that you are, in the frequency of the one who has exactly what it is that you want. You're going to pass it with flying colors. Okay. If today's episode resonated with you, it would mean the world if you took a screenshot, share it on your stories, tag me at Allie Reeves or All In with Allie podcast, tag me so I can celebrate your breakthrough with you. And if you are craving more support and strategy for your next up level, check the show notes for ways that we could work together. But until next time, keep going. Your breakthrough is no doubt closer than you think. I love you. Bye. Oh, wait, I have something else to say. I'm 99% sure the next episode, if all goes well and we don't need to reschedule anything, the next episode, I get to interview Morgan Klein, who is the co-founder and current CEO of Burn Bootcamp. So all of my burners out there who have, gone to Burn Bootcamp, if you know, you know, I go to Burn here in Mount Juliet. She and her husband, Devin, started Burn together over a decade ago. And like I said, she's the current CEO and she's coming on the podcast. And I have lots of juicy questions. I'm currently getting some of your questions in stories. So I'm really looking forward to this episode. So again, as long as we don't have to reschedule, that will likely be the next episode that comes out. So you could be looking forward to that. Okay. Love you. Bye.